Have you ever wondered why some people seem to walk into a room and immediately capture attention without even trying? Maybe it's at a party, a meeting, or just standing in line at a cafe. Eyes are drawn to them, conversations flow easily in their direction, and before long, everyone seems to know their name. Then there are others who try their best, who smile politely and speak kindly, but somehow remain in the background, almost invisible. The difference between the two isn't as mysterious as it looks. It rarely comes down to looks, status, or luck. It comes down to one simple but powerful thing: the first impression. First impressions are like invisible branding. They stick. Psychologists talk about something called the primacy effect. It means that when we first meet someone, the earliest signals we receive about them, how they stand, how they smile, how they say hello, carry more weight than almost anything else we learn afterward. If someone strikes you as confident and warm in the first 30 seconds, chances are you'll keep seeing them through that lens, even if later they fumble a joke or spill their drink. That early frame holds strong. There's also what scientists call the halo effect. This is when one positive quality, say a genuine smile, creates a ripple where we unconsciously assign other positive traits to the person too. You see someone as charming in those first few seconds, and suddenly your brain wants to believe they're also intelligent, trustworthy, maybe even more attractive than you first thought. A good first impression literally colors the way people perceive you. But here's the good news. Creating that impression isn't about being flawless or putting on a performance. It's about a delicate balance. Being confident without arrogance, being intriguing without being cryptic, and being playful without forcing it. Think of it like leaving breadcrumbs. You give just enough for someone to be interested, but not so much that they feel like they've already figured you out. Curiosity is magnetic. Let's imagine a scenario. You're at a casual networking event, drink in hand, and you're introduced to someone new. Most people default to predictable lines. Hi, what do you do? Where are you from? These questions aren't bad, but they don't spark anything memorable. Now, picture a different approach. Instead of asking about their job straight away, you glance at their shoes and say with a grin, "Okay, those are way too clean." Either you've just bought them, or you have a secret talent for keeping shoes spotless. Which is it? Suddenly, instead of a routine exchange, you've created a playful, curious moment. They laugh, they respond with a story, and the ice is broken. They'll remember you because you made them feel something different. The secret ingredient here is mystery. When you don't reveal everything at once, you leave space for the other person's imagination. Our brains are wired to seek completion. If you hint at something interesting, maybe a project you're working on or a trip you've recently returned from, without giving the full story, you invite questions. For example, when someone asks, "What do you do?" Instead of saying, "I'm a software engineer," you might reply, "I solve puzzles all day." Not the crossword kind, though. That response isn't deceptive. It's intriguing. It creates a hook. The other person is now curious to know more. Mystery doesn't mean being cagey or evasive. It simply means not laying all your cards on the table at once. Think of it like a great TV series. If the show gives away the ending in the first episode, why keep watching? The intrigue. If a powerful first impression opens the door, humor is what keeps that door wide open. Think about the people you're most drawn to. Chances are they're not only confident but also know how to make you laugh. There's something magnetic about humor. It lightens the air, dissolves tension, and makes every interaction easier. And when laughter is shared, it's not just entertainment, it's connection. Mark Twain once said, "Against the assault of laughter, nothing can stand." He was right. Laughter has a way of disarming us. It strips away pretenses and defenses. When you laugh with someone, you feel closer to them without even realizing why. Science backs this up. When we laugh, our brains release dopamine and endorphins, chemicals associated with pleasure and bonding. In other words, laughter is nature's shortcut to connection. But here's the catch. Humor in attraction isn't about being the funniest person in the room or performing stand-up routines. It's about showing that you can find joy in the moment, that you can observe life and respond with lightness. True humor is rooted in presence. It's noticing the small details others overlook and turning them into something playful. Imagine this. Someone says, "I've had such a long day." Most people respond with a polite, "Oh, I know what you mean." But you smile and reply, "Wow, up since 5 a.m. saving the planet again?" It's light, it's unexpected, and it makes them laugh. You didn't tell a joke, you created humor by reframing their statement. That kind of playful twist is far more powerful than memorizing punchlines. Another form of humor that builds attraction is gentle self-deprecation. It shows humility and confidence at the same time. For example, if you spill a little water on yourself, instead of awkwardly apologizing, you might grin and say, "Well, there goes my audition for being smooth and sophisticated." By laughing at yourself, you make others feel comfortable, because you show that mistakes don't rattle you. And then there's observational humor, commenting on what's happening around you in a way that makes people see things differently. Let's say you're both waiting for the elevator and it takes forever to arrive. Instead of standing in silence, you might joke, "I think this elevator's still in training. Maybe it hasn't learned how to reach this floor yet." Suddenly, a dull moment becomes a shared laugh, and the person with you feels the shift in energy. But humor has an even sharper edge when it blends with something else. Playful teasing. Teasing is where attraction often sparks most brightly. When done, well, it creates tension, curiosity, and laughter all at once. Now, let's be clear. Teasing is not about putting someone down. It's not about sarcasm that stings or jokes at someone's expense. Bad teasing feels cruel or dismissive, and it breaks trust instead of building it. Good teasing, on the other hand, is light, fun, and respectful. It says, "I like you enough to play with you." For example, imagine someone tells you they're really good at dancing. Instead of saying, "That's awesome," you smirk and say, "I'll believe it when I see it. For now, I'm picturing you doing the chicken dance." Delivered with a smile, this isn't an insult. It's an invitation to laugh and to prove themselves. It flips the dynamic so they're the one trying to impress you. Or maybe you're on a date and they order a salad. You could tease, "Wow, going for the salad. I was expecting you to demolish a burger and set a new record." Again, the tone is everything. It's playful, not judgmental. The goal is to add spark, not sting. Teasing works because it creates a push and pull dynamic. You're not handing over approval instantly. You're saying, "I'm enjoying this, but I'm not sold just yet." And that little resistance creates tension, the good kind. It makes the other person more engaged, more invested, more curious about you. Think about the contrast. Most people, especially when nervous, rely on predictable compliments. "You're so beautiful." "Your smile is amazing." These are kind words, but they're also forgettable because they've been heard 100 times before. Now, compare that with a playful line like, "That smile is suspicious. I think you've been practicing it in the mirror to win arguments." It's still a compliment, but it's delivered in a way that stands out, that creates laughter, that lingers. Here's another example. Imagine someone says, "I love to cook." Instead of nodding politely, you grin and reply, "Okay, but are we talking 5-star chef? Or the kind of cooking where smoke alarms double as timers?" That kind of teasing makes them laugh, and at the same time it opens the door for them to tell stories, to play along, to build chemistry. But balance is critical. Too much teasing without warmth can come across as cold or arrogant. The magic formula is tease plus reassurance. For instance, you might say, "You're dangerous. You're way too charming. I should probably keep my distance." That's the tease. Then, with a playful smile, you add, "But honestly, I kind of like the danger." That's the reassurance. The two together create tension, then release it, keeping the interaction exciting but safe. What's even more powerful is how humor and teasing build trust. When someone can make you laugh, you feel safe around them, because laughter is vulnerable. And when someone teases you gently but respectfully, you feel like they see you as an equal, not as someone to be put on a pedestal or looked down on. This equality is incredibly attractive. It says, we're in this together. We're playing, not performing. Picture this scene. You're at a party, and someone takes the last slice of pizza. Instead of letting it slide, you point and say, "Bold move. That was clearly mine, but I'll allow it this time." They laugh, you laugh, and suddenly you've created a moment of shared playfulness. It's such a small thing, but it's the kind of thing people remember. Humor and teasing are not tricks. They're expressions of comfort and confidence. They say, "I can enjoy myself, and I can help you enjoy yourself too." And when you create that atmosphere, people want to be around you. They look forward to the next conversation. They associate you with fun and ease. And here's where the magic deepens. When humor and teasing are flowing, something subtle begins to happen. The body responds. Postures align. Gestures echo. Even breathing starts to sync. Without realizing it, two people start to move as if in rhythm. This is the power of mirroring, and it's the next layer in creating irresistible connection. When humor and playful teasing start to flow, you'll often notice something remarkable happening without you even trying. The conversation feels smoother, the pauses feel comfortable rather than awkward, and there's this strange sense of harmony in the air. What you're experiencing is not just in your head, it's in your body too. Humans have a natural tendency to sync with people we feel connected to. This phenomenon is called mirroring, and it might just be one of the most powerful, invisible forces in attraction. Think back to a time when you were talking with a close friend or someone you were really into. If someone had filmed the interaction in slow motion, you'd likely notice a hidden dance unfolding. When they leaned in, you leaned in. When they nodded, you nodded. Your gestures matched in subtle ways. Even the rhythm of your speech might have started to align. That's mirroring at work. It's not something you consciously plan, but when you recognize it and learn to use it, the effect can be magical. So, why does this happen? Neuroscience offers an answer: mirror neurons. These are special brain cells that fire not only when you perform an action, but also when you observe someone else performing it. See someone smile, and your brain lights up in the same way as if you were smiling yourself. Hear someone laugh, and your body feels the echo. This is why laughter is contagious and why body language sync creates an instant sense of closeness. Your brain interprets the other person as being like me, and that recognition fosters trust and connection. Here's the beauty of mirroring. It doesn't have to be deliberate. In fact, the less forced it is, the more effective. If you try to copy someone move for move, it looks robotic and insincere. But when you subtly align with their energy, it creates a bond so natural they can't even explain why they like being around you. Imagine someone leaning forward while telling an exciting story. A few moments later, you lean forward too, resting an elbow on the table. They cross their legs. After a bit, you find yourself doing the same. Neither of you notices consciously, but both of you feel the connection growing stronger. Oprah Winfrey once said, "If you want to connect, lean in." She wasn't just speaking metaphorically. Leaning in literally signals engagement. Combine that with small cues like tilting your head when they talk or matching their pace of speech, and you're sending a silent but powerful message. I'm here with you, fully tuned in. Let's put this into a real-world example. You're at a cafe, chatting with someone new. They sit back in their chair, arms relaxed, speaking in a calm tone. If you sit stiffly, arms crossed, The mismatch creates distance. But if you also relax into your seat, mirror their openness, and match their tempo, the conversation feels smooth, like you've known each other longer than you actually have. Later, they may not recall every detail you said, but they'll remember how comfortable it felt being around you. Scientists studying close friendships and couples have found that these microsynchronizations, tiny nods, mirrored gestures, even synchronized blinking, are markers of closeness. It's as if two brains begin to dance together, and that dance sends an unmistakable subconscious signal. This person understands me. But, of course, there's a balance. Too much focus on mirroring can backfire. Imagine talking to someone who copies every single gesture you make. Cross your arms, they cross theirs immediately. Sip your drink, they sip theirs. It stops feeling like connection and starts feeling like mockery. The art of mirroring is subtlety. It should feel like a gentle echo, not a direct imitation. Here's a simple way to practice. The next time you're in conversation, pick one element to align with: their posture, their tone, or their pace. If they're speaking slowly and softly, slow down your own speech. If they're animated and enthusiastic, let your energy rise too. This kind of alignment doesn't just once your bodies begin to sync through mirroring, the connection often feels smoother, almost effortless. But if you want to move beyond comfort into real attraction, you need to add something extra, an element of surprise, a little mystery, a spark of tension that keeps the other person wondering. This is where playful reversals come in, and where the silent magic of eye contact turns a simple conversation into something unforgettable. People are naturally drawn to a challenge. Not the kind of challenge that feels intimidating or frustrating, but the kind that adds spice to an interaction. If everything is predictable, if you agree with every word, nod at every statement, and hand out compliments too easily, the dynamic becomes flat. There's no intrigue. But when you flip the script, when you gently tease or challenge someone, in a way that makes them lean forward, suddenly the game changes. Imagine someone tells you they're an amazing cook. The standard reply might be, "That's great, I'd love to try your food sometime." Polite, sure, but forgettable. Now picture yourself smiling and saying instead, "I don't know. I'll believe it when I see it. Right now, I'm picturing a smoke alarm going off." Delivered with a playful grin. This isn't insulting. It's an invitation. You've reframed the situation so that instead of you trying to impress them, they feel a subtle urge to impress you. That reversal shifts the balance of energy. It says, "I'm not putting you on a pedestal. You'll need to earn my attention." And that, paradoxically, makes them want your attention more. The beauty of these playful reversals is that they flip expectations. Most people tiptoe through conversations, afraid to rock the boat. But when you bring a little resistance, "My mom warned me about people like you," or "You look like trouble, I should be careful," you stand out. The key is tone. With a smile and light delivery, these lines create laughter and attraction. Without warmth, they risk sounding cold. Think of it like a dance. You step forward, then back, then forward again. That little unpredictability is exciting. It keeps the other person engaged, wondering, do they like me, or are they just having fun? That tension is golden. It fuels curiosity and keeps them invested in figuring you out. And then there's eye contact, the most powerful nonverbal tool you have. Eyes can communicate more in a second than words can in minutes. The trick is learning how to use them with control. Think about the last time you locked eyes with someone unexpectedly. Maybe it was across a room, or even just across a store aisle. For a split second, the world narrowed down to that one look. If you held the gaze just long enough, you probably felt something electric. That's the power of controlled eye contact. It creates a spark of intimacy before a single word is spoken. Here's how it works. Hold someone's gaze for a beat or two longer than usual. Not a stare, that feels aggressive, but long enough to communicate interest. Then, add the smallest smile and look away calmly. That moment plants a seed of curiosity. It says, "I see you, and I like what I see," without being desperate. Even better, when you break eye contact first, you leave them wondering. Wait, why did they look away? Were they interested or not? That mystery is magnetic. Psychologists have shown that eye contact activates the brain's reward system, releasing dopamine, the same chemical that fuels desire and excitement. Dr. Albert Mehrabian, a pioneer in communication studies, once estimated that up to 93% of communication is nonverbal. That means your eyes, posture, and gestures are saying far more than your words. The beauty of eye contact in flirting is the balance between tension and release. Too little, and you seem shy or disinterested. Too much, and it feels invasive. But when you strike the sweet spot, meeting their gaze, holding it, smiling, then looking away, you create a rhythm that keeps them leaning in. Think of it as a silent push and pull, a game that draws them in without either of you having to say a word. Picture this. You're at a party, engaged in conversation. Across the room, you notice someone looking your way. You meet their gaze, hold it for 3 seconds, let a half smile touch your lips, and then turn back to your friend. A few minutes later, you glance back and catch their eyes again. By this point, without speaking a single word, you've created a storyline. There's tension, curiosity, and anticipation. It's as if your eyes have already started the conversation before your mouths ever will. Now combine this with playful reversals, and you have a powerful mix. Imagine you're talking to someone and holding their gaze. Just as they lean in, you laugh and say, "You know, we'd probably never work out." Delivered with a grin, it's not rejection, it's teasing. The gaze keeps it intimate. The words create pushback, and together they generate chemistry. They're left thinking. Once you've added the playful reversals and let your eyes do the silent talking, the next step is learning the rhythm of push and pull. This is one of the oldest dynamics in attraction, and for good reason. It works. If playful reversals are like adding spice to a dish, push and pull is like turning up the heat, then cooling it down, then turning it back up again. It's the emotional roller coaster that keeps someone hooked, wondering what will happen next. At its core, push and pull is simple. The push is when you create distance, pulling back emotionally, teasing them, or acting slightly disinterested. The pull is when you come back in, showing warmth, approval, or affection. Done right, the back and forth creates excitement. It's like dancing on a balance beam between closeness and distance, comfort and tension. And when you get that rhythm right, the effect is electrifying. Think about the difference between a flat conversation and one with variety. In a flat conversation, someone showers the other person with constant compliments. "You're beautiful. You're amazing. I love your smile." It feels good for a moment, but after a while it loses impact. There's no contrast. Now imagine this instead. Someone smiles at you and you grin back and say, "Careful, you're dangerous with that." Smile. I should probably keep my distance. That's the push. Then, after a pause, you soften your tone and add, "But honestly, it's impossible not to like it." That's the pull. The roller coaster takes them up, then down, then up again. It's dynamic. It's memorable. Why does this work? Because human brains love contrast. Emotions feel stronger when they're paired with opposites. Think about a roller coaster. The thrill of the drop is only exciting because of the climb that came before it. Similarly, affection feels more intense when it comes after playful resistance. If everything is easy and certain, the emotional peaks flatten out. But when someone creates uncertainty, just a little, they spark curiosity, and curiosity fuels attraction. This isn't about manipulation. It's not about toying with people's feelings. It's about creating a rhythm that makes the interaction feel alive instead of predictable. It's about keeping both people engaged in a playful dance. Let's walk through some real examples. You're texting with someone and they send you a flattering photo. Instead of replying, "You look great," you might say, "Wow, that's unfair. You're making it hard for me to concentrate. I might need to block you for my sanity." That's the push. Then, a moment later, you add, "But don't worry, I won't. I kind of like the distraction." That's the pull. In just 2 messages, you've created tension, released it, and kept the energy playful. Or imagine you're sitting together at a bar, and they're telling you a funny story. You laugh, shake your head, and say, "You're trouble. I should stay far away from you." That's the push. But then you lean in slightly and add, "Though, honestly, life would be boring without a little trouble." That's the pull. The alternation between distance and warmth makes the moment sparkle. Anthropologist Helen Fisher has studied attraction for decades and points out that playful competition and emotional highs and lows release dopamine, the same brain chemical that lights up when we experience excitement or anticipation. Push and pull works on that exact principle. It's not manipulation. It's about building emotional variety, giving the other person the thrill of uncertainty followed by the comfort of connection. Of course, just like humor and teasing, push and pull requires balance. If you push too much, always acting distant or dismissive, you risk making the other person feel unwanted. If you pull too much, constantly affirming and complimenting, you risk coming across as needy or predictable. The magic lies in alternating. It's the back-and-forth rhythm that creates attraction. Here's a simple framework to keep in mind. Whenever you push, always follow up with a pull. For example, push. "You're way too charming. I need to be careful." Pull. "But honestly, it's kind of impossible not to like being around you." Or another, push. "I don't know. I don't think this would work out." Pull. "Unless, of course, you can convince me otherwise." Each push teases, challenges, or creates tension. Each pull softens, reassures, or shows warmth. Together, they form a dynamic that keeps emotions flowing. And don't forget, push and pull isn't just about words. Your body language can play the same game. Leaning in close, then pulling back with a grin. Meeting someone's gaze for a few seconds, then glancing away before returning. Even playful touches, like nudging them away, then brushing their hand later, mirror the same rhythm. The body can dance just as much as the words do. Think about how this feels from the other side. One moment, they feel your attention on them. The warmth of your smile, the spark in your eyes. The next moment, you create distance with a tease or a playful pushback. That contrast makes them wonder, where do I stand? Do they like me, or are they just having fun? That curiosity keeps them engaged, leaning forward, wanting more. Push and pull is also powerful because it mirrors the natural rhythm of real relationships. No relationship is constant affection or constant resistance. It's always a mix. We laugh, we challenge, we reassure, we tease. By creating that rhythm early, you mimic the emotional variety that keeps relationships alive in the long run. Here's one more scenario. You're walking with someone, and they compliment your outfit. Instead of just saying, "Thank you," you grin and reply, "Careful, keep that up and I'll start thinking you're trying to win me over." That's the push. Then, with a softer smile, you add, "Not that I mind too much." That's the pull. They laugh, they feel the tension and release, and the interaction becomes something they'll remember. At the heart of push and pull is emotion. Humans are emotional creatures, not logical ones. We're drawn to people who make us feel, not just safe, but alive. And push and pull, when done with warmth and respect, creates exactly that. Aliveness. So the next time you're in a conversation that feels promising, remember the dance. Tease, then soften. Lean in, then pull back. Create tension, then release. Build anticipation, then satisfy it just enough to keep them wanting more. Because attraction isn't built on certainty, it's built on curiosity and excitement. And when you can give someone that roller coaster, that rush of highs and lows, you become the person they can't stop thinking about. And yet, there's still one more ingredient left. Humor, teasing, mirroring, reversals, eye contact, push, and pull. These create attraction. But if you want to leave a lasting mark, you need to master two final touches: the power of subtle touch and the art of leaving at the right moment. These are the finishing strokes that transform connection into something unforgettable. After the highs and lows of push and pull, there's one more layer to master: the finishing touch that turns attraction into memory, and memory into lasting connection. It comes down to two deceptively simple tools: the subtle power of touch and the art of knowing when to leave. And behind both of these lies the deepest truth of all, that authenticity is the force that makes every tactic truly work. Touch is the oldest language we know. Long before we could speak, humans used touch to comfort, to reassure, to bond. Even today, research shows we can interpret the meaning of touch with remarkable accuracy. Some studies suggest as high as 80%. A hand on the shoulder, a playful nudge, a warm handshake. Each communicates something words can't. Done right, touch bypasses the brain and goes straight to the heart. But here's the key. When it comes to attraction, touch doesn't have to be grand or dramatic. In fact, subtle is stronger. A brush of the hand during laughter, guiding someone through a crowd with a light touch on the lower back, a playful tap on the arm as you tease them. These small, fleeting touches can linger longer in memory than an entire speech. They add texture to the conversation, making it feel not just verbal but physical, embodied. There's a simple guideline often called the 5 and 15 rule. In a 15-minute conversation, aim for 5 natural touches. Nothing forced, nothing scripted. It could be as easy as a high five when you agree on something, a light shoulder bump when you're teasing, or a handshake that lingers just slightly longer than usual. These touches act like punctuation marks in a conversation. They add rhythm and emphasis without overpowering the words. If you want to think of intimacy in stages, there's a simple model: the 3 H's: hands, hips, and head. Touching someone's hand is casual and safe, the kind of thing friends do all the time. The hip or lower back is more personal, a gesture of care and subtle protection. The head, whether brushing hair from someone's face or a playful tap, is the most intimate. As the level of trust grows, moving from hands to hips to head mirrors the deepening connection. But, like everything else we've explored, balance is everything. Too much touch too soon can feel invasive. Too little, and the interaction remains flat. The art lies in subtlety. The most powerful touch often feels almost accidental, like it just happened in the flow of the moment. That's what makes it linger. And just as important as touch is knowing when to step away. Think about your favorite TV shows. Why do they hook you episode after episode? Because they end at just the right moment. With suspense, with curiosity, with a sense of wanting more. Conversations work the same way. Most people end interactions when the energy is already dying down. They run out of things to say, the vibe flatlines, and then they mumble a polite goodbye. But the trick is to leave at the peak. When the laughter is loudest, when the story is flowing, when the energy feels high, that's your cue. Smile, say, "I hate to cut this short, but I have to run. Let's pick this up another time." You've ended the scene not with decline, but with anticipation. This works because of psychology. Anticipation is one of the most powerful motivators of human behavior. When people don't get something all at once, when there's still more, to discover they crave it more. By leaving at a high point, you plant curiosity. They walk away, replaying the interaction in their mind, wondering what might have happened if it had continued. And that means they're already looking forward to the next encounter. But all of these techniques, humor, teasing, mirroring, eye, contact, push and pull, touch, timing, only truly shine when they're wrapped in the most important element of all, authenticity. Without authenticity, everything becomes an act, a performance, a trick. And tricks may spark a moment of attraction, but they rarely sustain connection. Authenticity doesn't mean ignoring strategy. It means using these tools as amplifiers of who you already are, not as a mask. When you make someone laugh, it's because you genuinely found humor in the moment. When you tease, it's because you're really enjoying the playfulness. When you touch, it's because it feels natural, not calculated. Authenticity is what transforms tactics into truth. Think about the people who've left the strongest impression on you. Was it because they had perfect lines memorized? Probably not. It was because they made you feel something real. They looked you in the eye and you felt seen. They teased you in a way that felt equal, not superior. They laughed in a way that drew you in. And when they left you wanting more. That's authenticity in action. So here's the truth. You don't need to be flawless to be magnetic. You don't need to be the best-looking person in the room, or the funniest, or the most charming. What you need is presence. You need to be willing to bring your whole self into the moment, confident, curious, playful, genuine. Use humor to break the ice. Use teasing to build spark. Let your body mirror theirs to build trust. Use your eyes to create mystery. Dance with push and pull to keep emotions alive. Add the lightest touches to deepen connection. And then, when the moment is at its peak, step away, leaving them smiling, curious, and eager for more. That's how attraction is built. Not through magic tricks or manipulation, but through rhythm, balance, and authenticity. Because in the end, what people remember is not every word you said or every move you made. They remember how you made them feel. If you can leave someone lighter, smiling, curious, and just a little intrigued, you've already succeeded, and that's the final truth. The most powerful way to connect is to be real. Playful, yes. Confident, yes. Mysterious, yes. But above all, authentic. That's what makes you unforgettable.